Do you insist on this retractation so far as to kill me if I do not make it, although I have repeated more than once, and affirmed on my honor, that I was ignorant of the thing with which you charge me, and although I still declare that it is impossible for any one but you to recognize the Count of Mercer under the name of Fernand? I maintain my original resolution. Very well, my dear sir, then I consent to cut throats with you. But I require 3 weeks' preparation. At the end of that time I shall come and say to you, the assertion is false, and I retract it, or the assertion is true, when I shall immediately draw the sword from its sheath, or the pistols from the case, whichever you please. "3 weeks!" cried Albert, "they will pass as slowly as 3 centuries when I am all the time suffering dishonor." Had you continued to remain on amicable terms with me, I should have said, "Patience, my friend," but you have constituted yourself my enemy, therefore I say, what does that signify to me, sir? Well, let it be 3 weeks then, said Mercer, but remember, at the expiration of that time no delay or subterfuge will justify you in M. Albert de Mercer, said Beauchamp, rising in his turn, I cannot throw you out of window for 3 weeks, that is to say, for 24 days to come, nor have you any right to split my skull open till that time has elapsed. Today is the 29th of August, the 21st of September will, therefore, be the conclusion of the term agreed on. Until that time arrives, and it is the advice of a gentleman which I am about to give you, till then we will refrain from growling and barking like 2 dogs chained within sight of each other. When he had concluded his speech, Beauchamp bowed coldly to Albert, turned his back upon him, and went to the press room. Albert vented his anger on a pile of newspapers, which he sent flying all over the office by switching them violently with his stick, after which abolition he departed not, however, without walking several times to the door of the press room, as if he had half a mind to enter. While Albert was lashing the front of his carriage in the same manner that he had the newspapers which were the innocent agents of his discomfiture, as he was crossing the barrier he perceived Morel, who was walking with a quick step and a bright eye. He was passing the Chinese baths, and appeared to have come from the direction of the Porte Saint-Martin, and to be going towards the Madeleine. Ah, said Mercier, there goes a happy man. And it so happened Albert was not mistaken in his opinion. Chapter 79. The lemonade? Morel was, in fact, very happy. M. Noirtier had just sent for him, and he was in such haste to know the reason of his doing so that he had not stopped to take a cab, placing infinitely more dependence on his own 2 legs than on the 4 legs of a cab horse. He had therefore set off at a furious rate from the Rue Meslay, and was hastening with rapid strides in the direction of the Faubourg Saint-Honoré. Morel advanced with a firm, manly tread, and poor Barrois followed him as he best might. Morel was only 31, Barrois was 60 years of age, Morel was deeply in love, and Barrois was dying with heat and exertion. These 2 men, thus opposed in age and interests, resembled 2 parts of a triangle, presenting the extremes of separation, yet nevertheless possessing their point of union. This point of union was Noirtier, and it was he who had just sent for Morel, with the request that the latter would lose no time in coming to him, a command which Morel obeyed to the letter, to the great discomfiture of Barrois. On arriving at the house, Morel was not even out of breath, for love lends wings to our desires, but Barrois, who had long forgotten what it was to love, was sorely fatigued by the expedition he had been constrained to use. The old servant introduced Morel by a private entrance, closed the door of the study, and soon the rustling of a dress announced the arrival of Valentine. She looked marvelously beautiful in her deep mourning dress, and Morel experienced such intense delight in gazing upon her that he felt as if he could almost have dispensed with the conversation of her grandfather. But the easy chair of the old man was heard rolling along the floor, and he soon made his appearance in the room. Noirtier acknowledged by a look of extreme kindness and benevolence the thanks which Morel lavished on him for his timely intervention on behalf of Valentine, and himself an intervention which had saved them from despair. Morel then cast on the invalid an interrogative look as to the new favor which he designed to bestow on him. Valentine was sitting at a little distance from them, timidly awaiting the moment when she should be obliged to speak. Noirtier fixed his eyes on her. "Am I to say what you told me?" asked Valentine. Noirtier made a sign that she was to do so. Monsieur Morel, said Valentine to the young man, who was regarding her with the most intense interest, my grandfather, M. Noirtier, had 1,000 things to say, which he told me 3 days ago, and now, he has sent for you, that I may repeat them to you. I will repeat them, then, and since he has chosen me as his interpreter, I will be faithful to the trust, and will not alter a word of his intentions. Oh, I am listening with the greatest impatience, replied the young man. Speak, I beg of you. Valentine cast down her eyes. This was a good omen for Morel, for he knew that nothing but happiness could have the power of thus overcoming Valentine. My grandfather intends leaving this house, said she, and Barrois is looking out suitable apartments for him in another. But you, Mademoiselle de Villefort, you, who are necessary to M. Noirtier's happiness. I? Interrupted Valentine, I shall not leave my grandfather, that is an understood thing between us. My apartment will be close to his. Now, M. de Villefort must either give his consent to this plan or his refusal. In the first case, I shall leave directly, and in the second, I shall wait till I am of age, which will be in about 10 months. Then I shall be free, I shall have an independent fortune, and what? Demanded Morel. And with my grandfather's consent I shall fulfill the promise which I have made you. Valentine pronounced these last few words in such a low tone, that nothing but Morel's intense interest in what she was saying could have enabled him to hear them. Have I not explained your wishes, grandpapa? Said Valentine, addressing Noirtier. Yes, looked the old man, once under my grandfather's roof, M. Morel can visit me in the presence of my good and worthy protector, if we still feel that the union we contemplated will be likely to ensure our future comfort and happiness. In that case I shall expect M. Morel to come and claim me at my own hands. But, alas, I have heard it said that hearts inflamed by obstacles to their desire grew cold in time of security. I trust we shall never find it so in our experience. Oh! Cried Morel, almost tempted to throw himself on his knees before Noirtier and Valentine, and to adore them as two superior beings. What have I ever done in my life to merit such unbounded happiness? Until that time, continued the young girl in a calm and self-possessed tone of voice, we will conform to circumstances, and be guided by the wishes of our friends, so long as those wishes do not tend finally to separate us, in a word, and I repeat it, because it expresses all I wish to convey, we will wait. And I swear to make all the sacrifices which this word imposes, sir, said Morel, not only with resignation, but with cheerfulness. Therefore, continued Valentine, looking playfully at Maximilian, no more inconsiderate actions, no more rash projects, for you surely would not wish to compromise one who from this day regards herself as destined, honorably and happily, to bear your name? Morel looked obedience to her commands. Noirtier regarded the lovers with a look of ineffable tenderness, while Barrois, who had remained in the room in the character of a man privileged to know everything that passed, smiled on the youthful couple as he wiped the perspiration from his bald forehead. How hot you look, my good Barrois, said Valentine. Ah, I have been running very fast, mademoiselle, but I must do M. Morel the justice to say that he ran still faster. Noirtier directed their attention to a waiter, on which was placed a decanter containing lemonade and a glass. The decanter was nearly full, with the exception of a little, which had been already drunk by M. Noirtier. Come, Barrois, said the young girl, take some of this lemonade, I see you are coveting a good draught of it. The fact is, mademoiselle, said Barrois, I am dying with thirst, and since you are so kind as to offer it me, I cannot say I should at all object to drinking your health in a glass of it. Take some, then, and come back immediately.